My husband secretly downgraded my first-class ticket to fly his dog. I left him at the airport. I'm a 29-year-old woman, and I'm currently shaking in an Uber. I just left my 32-year-old husband standing at the airport. His mouth was hanging open. We planned this Amalfi Coast trip for 2 years. It was our delayed honeymoon. We married during lockdown, you see. We saved $12,000 specifically for this. Business class flights, adults-only hotels, the works. The only problem was Barnaby. He's my husband's 4-year-old rescue greyhound. Barnaby has severe separation anxiety. I love the dog, but I told Mark, this is a romantic trip, no dogs. We booked a luxury kennel 3 months ago. It cost $800. Today, at the airport, I handed my passport to the agent. She frowned. She typed for a moment. Then she said, "Ma'am, your seat is in 42B, that's economy. You can't check in here." I laughed. I thought it was a glitch. I looked at Mark. He wouldn't meet my eyes. He was fidgeting with Barnaby's leash. He quietly admitted, "I canceled the kennel last week. Barnaby is coming." Here's the kicker: to afford a last-minute pet-friendly villa upgrade and Barnaby's specialized cargo crate fees, Mark downgraded my ticket to economy. It covered the $2,400 difference. I asked, "Did you downgrade yours?" He said, "Babe, you know I have sciatica. I need the lie-flat seat. Plus, someone needs to be fresh to handle the manual transmission rental car." I saw red. I didn't scream. I just grabbed my carry-on. I told him, "I hope you and Barnaby enjoy the pasta." I walked out. He's blowing up my phone. He says I'm being dramatic, that we're losing thousands in non-refundable bookings. He even called me a heartless monster for expecting him to leave a panic-prone dog behind. I'm heading to my sister's. I've turned off my location. Am I the a-hole for wasting our vacation money? Did I overreact, or is he completely out of line? Let me know what you think. I walked away from $500,000 yesterday, all because of a cat. I'm a 26-year-old woman, and I was my Nana's favorite. When she passed last week, everyone knew I was getting the bulk of the estate. She owned a paid-off Victorian home in the city. It was appraised at $420,000. Plus, she had about $80,000 in savings. At the will reading, the lawyer dropped a bomb. I get everything, contingent on one thing: I must become the sole guardian of Barnaby. He was her 22-pound Maine Coon, and he must live in the house with me until he dies naturally. Here's the problem: Barnaby is pure evil. I have a scar through my left eyebrow. It's from when I was 14 and tried to pet him. He doesn't just scratch, he hunts. Last Thanksgiving, he cornered my fiancé, he's 28, in the bathroom for an hour. He was hissing like a radiator. I am genuinely terrified of this animal. When the lawyer read the clause, I asked, "Can I hire a live-in pet sitter?" The lawyer shook his head. He said, "The will stipulates you must be the primary caregiver. If you decline, the assets pass to your cousin Tyler." Tyler is 29, he's the family black sheep. He has a gambling addiction and hasn't visited Nana in 5 years, but he loves cats. I looked at my mom. She was practically vibrating with excitement about the house. Then I thought about living in fear in my own home for the next 10 years. Barnaby is only 6. I took a breath and said, "I pass, give it to Tyler." The room exploded. My mom started screaming that I was throwing away generational wealth. My dad told me to just lock the beast in the basement and lie. But the lawyer is the executor and plans to do monthly checks. I'm not going to commit fraud. Tyler signed the papers with a grin. He scooped up the demon cat, and he's now listing the house for sale to pay off his debts. My parents have blocked my number. They're calling me a selfish, spoiled brat. I'm currently sitting in my tiny apartment. I'm debt-ridden but safe, but seeing Tyler blow the money is making me sick. Am I the a-hole? So, am I the a-hole here, or are my parents? Let me know what you think. I found almost $500,000 in my husband's secret bank account, after I spent 5 years working 2 jobs to support us. I'm a 26-year-old woman, and I'm sitting in my car, shaking. My entire marriage feels like a cruel joke. I met my husband, Mark, in college. He told me his wealthy parents disowned him because he wanted to be an artist, not a businessman. I fell for the tortured soul act. For 5 years, I worked myself to the bone. I kept a roof over our heads while he tried to make it as an artist. I'm talking 60-hour weeks. I was a barista by day and a cleaner by night. There were months I ate plain rice, so he could have protein. 2 years ago, I missed my grandmother's funeral. I couldn't afford the $300 plane ticket. Mark held me while I cried. He said, "One day, babe, we'll have everything." We're moving apartments this weekend. Mark was out returning the U-Haul. I dropped a heavy box of his old sketchbooks. It burst open, and a blue folder slid out. Inside were bank statements. They weren't old. The most recent one was from last week. It was a high-yield savings account under his name. The balance, $412,560. Looking at the transaction history, there's a recurring deposit of $4,500 every month, from the last name, Family Trust. His parents never cut him off, not for a single day, while I was scrubbing toilets to pay our $900 rent. He was banking almost $5,000 a month and letting me struggle. But that's not even the worst part. When he got home, I threw the papers at him. I expected him to panic. Instead, he looked relieved. He actually smiled and said, "Finally, I was going to surprise you with a house next month." When I screamed about the funeral I missed, and the hunger, he rolled his eyes. He said, "My ex only wanted me for my money. I had to be sure you loved me for me asterisk. It was a test and you passed. Why are you ruining the victory lap?" He thinks I should be grateful that we are now rich. I feel like I've been financially abused for 5 years. He's blowing up my phone saying I'm being dramatic. He says he did this for us. I can't even look at him without seeing that $300 plane ticket. He could have easily paid for it. Am I crazy for wanting to leave a millionaire? Because he watched me suffer to prove a point. Did I overreact, or is he a terrible person? Let me know what you think. I just got a $20,000 bonus to get my husband fired. My husband thinks we're celebrating his upcoming promotion, but I'm actually celebrating something else entirely. I'm a 29-year-old woman. My husband, Mark, is 32. We work for the same massive logistics corporation, but in different buildings. We kept our marriage a secret from HR. There's a strict no fraternization policy between departments. He's a senior project manager. I work in internal compliance. 2 months ago, my VP called me into his office. He said, "We suspect the PM team is bleeding money." He needed me to audit their communications. "Dig deep," he said. He didn't know Mark was my husband. I should have recused myself. I didn't. I needed the overtime pay. We have $40,000 in student loans. We've been desperate to buy a home. I spent weeks reading Mark's emails. I found everything. The cut corners, the unauthorized vendor approvals, the 2-hour lunches labeled as client meetings. It wasn't malicious, just lazy. But in corporate terms, it's fireable gross misconduct. I had a choice: delete the files and risk my own job, or submit the report. I submitted it last Friday. My boss was ecstatic. He called it forensic genius. He approved an immediate $20,000 performance bonus. Tonight, Mark took me to a steakhouse. He ordered a $150 bottle of Cabernet. He was beaming. "Babe," he said, grabbing my hand across the table, "Greg called a meeting for Monday morning. This is it, the director role, the raise." He then pulled out his phone and submitted the earnest money deposit on a $550,000 house we looked at yesterday. He looked me in the eyes and said, "We made it." I smiled and clinked glasses. I didn't tell him that the meeting with Greg on Monday isn't a promotion. It's a termination hearing, and I'm the one scheduled to take the minutes. I secured our financial future by destroying his career. I feel sick. But the check cleared this morning. Am I a monster for letting him sign those papers? Am I the a-hole for what I did? Let me know in the comments.